Well, I think that the real goal is purely political, and it's partly to cover up the dissension and the feuding that exists within the Republican conference that barely was able to even pick a Speaker of the House. And so they use these investigations and the bombastic posture and rhetoric to try to smooth over the internal dissensions, because they know that they don't have a governing majority. They know that they can't even agree amongst themselves on any kind of substantive policy agenda. For all of the rhetoric we heard from them in the midterms about the economy, about inflation, about gas prices, it's interesting that the very first posture that they have in their new majority has nothing to do with any of those issues and everything to do with political investigations targeting their political adversaries.
So on the heels of that, Katie, who do you think is at more risk politically over all these investigations? Is it President Biden or is it the Republicans? Could this backfire on the GOP and end up helping Democrats in the next election?
I definitely think that's possible because the circus that is the GOP is going to be on full display. The challenge that we have is, and I think that it's really important for us to not make the same mistake that the GOP made with the January 6th committee. Democrats need to be on those committees and continuously pointing out what a farce this is. I think that if we do that effectively, then the American people are going to see exactly what a joke this Republican conference is.
Okay, let's move to the Daily Beast, which has some new reporting on Donald Trump's confidants gaming out a vice presidential pick. They are all women. Trump World is thinking about Elise Stefanik, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tulsi Gabbard, Kristi Noem, and Carrie Lake. So, Katie, Tulsi Gabbard is particularly interesting because she was your Democratic colleague in Congress. How did she go from that to being considered a potential Trump Veep pick?
Yeah, it's very bizarre. She was actually pretty progressive on a lot of issues when she was a Democrat in Congress. And I think that we've seen a pretty self-interested shift, right? You've got the Fox News contributorship. You've got now her name is being bandied around with this. I don't think that it's actually going to go anywhere. I think that it's just talk. But, I don't know. I'm more disappointed in her shift than the Republicans or Trump world using her in some way.
So, look, the other names are interesting as well. I mean, the extremists here in this group, Katie, Carrie Lake, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Mm-hmm. What do you make of it? You said you don't think it's too serious about Tulsi Gabbard. Are either of those candidates seriously being considered?
Well, I think that that's probably a very realistic possibility. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Carrie Lake are both darlings of the Trump wing of the party. And so it really depends on how much of this is about going towards his base and how much of this is actually, a serious attempt to win an election and appeal towards moderates. I don't think that he has proven to be a particularly strategic candidate. And so, loyalty is rewarded in this world. And I think it's very possible that you see someone like MTG or Carrie Lake. And frankly, that's a benefit to Democrats. They're both ridiculous. And I don't know any other way to put it.
Yeah. There's a GOP strategist, Kurt, who told the Daily Beast what Trump learned is you can't pick Pence and Haley's, who are the establishment. Does that make sense to you? I mean, and if so, does this group swing a little too far to the extreme?
I don't understand the political calculation that after watching candidate after candidate who wore the MAGA flag get rejected by the voters, including Carrie Lake in Arizona, why Republicans of any stripe would think that putting them on the ticket would somehow benefit them and that they would perform any better in 2024 than it did in 2022. It makes absolutely no sense, and it just shows that the Republicans continue to learn the wrong lessons from failure. It was interesting, after the midterm elections, we even heard them say the RNC is going to do another autopsy to find out what went wrong. Well, what went wrong was you nominated a bunch of lunatics and the voters rejected them. So putting one of them on your ticket in 2024, I can't think of a better gift for the Democratic Party.
Okay, I want to turn now to Republican George Santos, who's certainly getting hammered with the calls to resign from Congress, including from his own party. Santos responded in an interview with fellow Republican Matt Gaetz. Take a listen.
But I was elected by 142,000 people. Until those same 142,000 people tell me they don't want me, we'll find out in 2 years. All the people calling me to resign, I beat them by double their margins in the victory because I outworked every single one of them.
Embellishing one's resume isn't a crime. It's frankly how a lot of people get to Congress, and we want everyone to be honest. And again, you've acknowledged that, and you're working for it going forward.
Same question to both of you. First of all, is this embellishing or is this lying? And secondly, does he survive the entire term? You first, Katie.
Well, we've seen that Republicans don't call on people to resign, right? Like, especially when you have such a slim majority. I don't think that there's any chance that McCarthy or Republicans in Congress are going to seriously try to get him to resign, because it means a special election and it means potentially, losing that seat to a Democrat. So, yeah. It's a huge difference between the Democratic caucus and the way that we hold our own members accountable. I'm an example of that, and the way that Republicans do it, which is purely in the interest of political gains.
15 seconds to you to answer, Kurt.
Yeah, it's lying, by the way. Embellishing is one thing, but claiming to play on a volleyball team that you didn't do, claiming that your mom died on 9/11 when she died like 15 years later, claiming that you're Jewish, give me a break. I mean, this is fantasy land, and it says a lot that Kevin McCarthy needs George Santos so much that he's willing to tolerate this type of treachery, this type of fraud. And the 144,000 voters in his district, they didn't get to vote for George Santos because they have no idea who the hell this guy is, and no one does.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for the chat. And Katie, I love the picture of the baby and the cat who just appeared. That's fun.
Yeah,
all right,
I can't do anything about this cat.
No. It's all good. We welcome them both. Okay, bye, guys.